I love me some video games, whether it be for the rich lore or the stellar gameplay. I also love films for the artistic story they tell, whether it be a personal story or a colossal fantasy tale. But only on very rare occasions do games and film intersect, and when they do, they never really turn out very well. Isn't it time that changed? Out of all the video game movies that came out so far, the most well received is Final Fantasy Spirits Within, which is just mind-boggling. And even that is below 50%. And the second most well received film is Angry Birds. How can some mildly peeved of flying animals being fired out of a slingshot at pigs be received better than an Assassin's Creed film, with 30,000 games worth of story to go through? It just doesn't seem to add up. So where is it going wrong? Well, here's the trouble. The more established the game series gets, the harder it is to write a story that continues with that franchise's continuity due to the audience already knowing these characters and the actions they would take. If you include all of the story of a franchise, then your film will be unwatchably long, and if you don't include enough, then you'll alienate your core audience. The key here is to get directors who are familiar with these properties and know how to treat them, but even then the film isn't a guaranteed success. For example, Warcraft. Duncan Jones is known to be a fan of Blizzard's Warcraft series, and he wanted to treat the franchise with the utmost respect. But due to the vast majority of the population seeing it not having played the games, people were left confused at the character names and the motives. The movie depended too much on its viewers' knowledge of the franchise rather than the new audience. Another problem for these movies is misallocated focus. Take the Assassin's Creed franchise. Everyone loves it for its stunning period pieces and its amazing action sequences. But in the movie we only got a fraction of that because it was set in the modern day, which no one who's played the games cares about. If they just set it in the 15th century from the get-go, I think the film would have been reviewed far greater than it was. The thing about games is that you can stop at any point you want, but with movies, once you've started, you're in for the next hour and a half without a break. With video games, you move at your own pace, so when we watch a scene from a video game in a film, it doesn't match the pace we played it at. Also, you can learn as much or as little as you want with video games, and with movies, the information they give you need to take in. So what's the solution to make these films good? Well, this is kind of ironic, but the reason Final Fantasy and Angry Birds have the best scores is because they're their own stories. Final Fantasy has multiple universes and time periods, so they could have a story about almost anything, and Angry Birds' story, well, we've already been through that. Neither of those franchises are confined by any pre-existing rules. The only one game movie franchise to pull off their story with multiple movies is unbelievably Resident Evil. They're by no means good films, but they make money, and people keep coming back to them to the point where there'll be a 7th one when the new one comes out. If you want to make a video game movie set in that game's universe, follow different characters that aren't established, ones that are new or were briefly mentioned in a previous game. A perfect example that was never fully realised was the Halo film that never made it out. However, we did get Halo Landfall by Neil Blomkamp. If the film was anything like the short, then the film would have been stunning. The setting is picture perfect, and Neil's storytelling techniques of using a combination of cinematic and on-scene camera footage was grade A directing. The story, instead about Master Chief, who we already know plenty, was about two ODSTs trying to recover a target designator for Master Chief's re-entry from the end of Halo 2. It checks all the boxes of video game filmmaking. Separate characters, true to the game's setting and character design, ties with the main plot, and no unnecessary changing of the lore. The only negative thing I can critique the short film for is its lack of character development, which I can't be angry for since the film was only 7 minutes long. As a fan of Halo, it's a tragedy this film was never made. It could have been the first truly great video game movie, but it unfortunately was cancelled before it was finished. Although District 9 did rise from its ashes and go on to be one of the quintessential sci-fi movies of this decade. So that's the recipe for a good video game movie. They have the chance to be good, they just need to play their cards right. Warcraft, Halo, and Assassin's Creed could all make fantastic movies, you just need to find the right angle. Warcraft's issue is to get the lore right, and Assassin's Creed's is just to set it in the past, screw the present day, and sort out your fight scenes. Here's a new short film by Neil Blomkamp called Firebase. If you love science fiction, I'd highly recommend it.